in a way, he's in a comfortable but yet uncomfortable position, because when you look at sort of the underlying fundamentals of the economy, they're strong. The inflation has been coming down, but not as much that they potentially need to cut significantly. And he's been giving a relatively steady message that they're probably done. We actually think they're done, with small easing bias still in the market. And he can fall back on that, and he can sort of push away the whole tariff situation as he did, so masterly yesterday.
The market and businesses had this gigantic hope that deregulation and tax reduction would be very supportive for business and the animal spirits we saw in the back of the election. Now in the first quarter, it's been so disruptive on tariffs and megaphone diplomacy from the White House. The businesses are in a state of flux about what their business models look like, and the supply chains too. What does that mean in terms of confidence levels, at least from the first quarter?
Well, actually, business confidence is okay. Clearly, again, given that the fundamentals remain strong. We'll have to see what the retail sector is doing. I mean, we get retail sales later. It's particularly sort of the lower income brackets that are struggling a bit. And I think this is also where the job with the Fed comes into play, because obviously as inflation remains elevated, and if we don't get a significant bumper wage growth, then this part of the economy will probably continue to struggle. And I think that's probably where it is. But on the business side of things, we'll have to see what comes out of the tariffs, of course, because that could really throw a spanner in the works. But so far, it's been holding up all right.
Hey, am I wrong to be hopeful about Europe? Because it's been a forlorn quest for most of my career. Because I'm actually quite excited about Europe seeing a problem, having a diagnosis for a problem, and actually the harder bit is actually getting itself into gear. I see a lot of positivity about what we're going to do, that we have a recipe. Do you think we're actually doing it? And actually, this Trump episode will act as a further catalyst for Europe to improve?
Well, I mean, it's maybe a forlorn quest here, but I think you're right. At least we've identified problems, and so particularly one of the key problems that I see for Europe is that we have a productivity problem. But then the question is, what can we do about it? And particularly when it comes to these kind of problems, what can we do about it quickly? And I think that's the problem in Europe generally. But by and large, I tend to share your tentative optimism, because I think the consensus out there is pretty grim, and I think the reality on the ground is probably not quite as grim.